I'm quite amused by the fact that the Leave campaign in the referendum are claiming that those who wish to remain in the EU have a project called Project Fear. I'm amused partly because, if you're serious, leaving the EU, there is actually quite a lot to be fearful about. But I'm in particular amused because this is really the pot calling the kettle black. If there is anybody peddling myths and fear, it is those who say we have things to fear from remaining where we are in partnership with our neighbouring countries in the European Union. Let me just take one example, and it's the most controversial one of all: immigration. In Britain there are two kinds of immigration. There's internal EU migrants, and there are those, most of them, coming from outside. Within the EU, there's almost an equal balance between the number of Brits in other countries and other Europeans in Britain. And by the way, those in Britain pay more in tax than they take out in benefits. So the EU migration is not really the problem. Those coming from outside the EU, the other type of immigration, that is under our own rules, which we determine. But we are far better able to enforce them inside the European Union for three reasons. One, we can maintain our main border control in Calais instead of at Dover. If people arrived in Dover and then found not to be eligible to come in, we would have the problem of deporting them. We avoid that by being in the EU and having an agreement with France. Second, there is what's called the Dublin Rule of the European Union, agreed internally within Europe, that asylum seekers have to be dealt with by the country in which they first arrived. You can waive that rule if you want, like Germany did, but we in Britain rely on that and have sent many people back to the country where they first arrived in Europe to claim asylum. And the third reason is that we have access to the European Union's system of cooperation between police forces so that we can get, and intelligence forces, so that we can actually have far better information on people when they come, whether or not they're applying for asylum. So all that helps us enforce our own rules that we adopt. Now, if you know that, you realize that Project Fear of the Leave campaign, to make people afraid of immigration, this nonsense that we don't control our own borders, is actually them that are doing Project Fear, not the Remain campaign.